do for us and the ladies. I'm W.T. Clark, as I said. I want to address you all. Somebody talked to me about this and suggested I do this. Maybe they didn't feel like it or something. So anyway, I said, sure, I'll take it on. I'm here to address you guys and ladies as a business owner, constituent, and taxpayer. Thanks for allowing me the opportunity to talk to you. Hope y'all had a good weekend. What I'm here to talk about is cannabis, aka marijuana, its benefits, medical use, tremendous revenue potential, and legalization. I'm sure might get a few snickers, but that's okay. Everybody needs to laugh. Before I get started, if any of you had somebody in your family with heart disease or Alzheimer's and want to see them suffer with that, or they may have passed before they even had a chance to get treatment. They're horrible issues, cancer, and Alzheimer's probably being the worst. Most of my father's siblings died with cancer, and most of my mother's with Alzheimer's, my grandmother. And you know, I don't want to get either one of those. I'd like to see my grandchildren grow up and even their kids for a while. Most everyone in this room eventually will get sick with something. And cannabis has got, every week it seems like they're coming out with more and more research proving that it's good for this or good for that, and I'll get into that later on. In front of you, you have a blue folder that I've made up for you. It's got a lot of details and a lot of references. Anybody else wants a copy of it, I've got a few more copies. I think we probably all agree that people should have whatever's available to treat them, their illness, and in some cases cure it, with the least amount of side effects. As I said, most everyone in here is going to get sick with something sooner or later. Some of them bad, some of them maybe not so bad. I went to this thing this weekend and saw 3 people in Greenville that had this rally for medical marijuana. And there was 2 young girls with cancer. One of them just got out of the hospital. She tried to commit suicide. She says she wasn't that way, never had any thoughts like that, but after they give her this medicine, and there's only like 4 medicines, and one of them makes them have thoughts like this that are not normal. So anyway, recently after a chance meeting with somebody that told me that it would cure cancer and you could do it for less than $2,000, I was shocked. Had to learn more. So since that time, it's been a few months ago, I've researched it extensively, as I do with a lot of things. I'm buying something or whatever, and I've provided you that report with the references for you to look up. And I'll try to email all of you a copy of it so you can just click on the links and read it when you have time. As we go along, let's pretend that we've never heard of this plan and thus we don't have any preconceived notions about it. And that makes it a lot easier to see where I'm coming from and such as that. Doing what you guys do, you shouldn't be given to wives' tales and propaganda, but instead approach everything with an open mind, weigh the facts, and always consider the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness that we've heard so much about over the years. So why was it ever made illegal? After all, before 1937, it was the number 3 prescribed medicine. What happened? It's, from all I found, it's all politics. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that now, but it's in the, a lot of it is in the report. 1970, Congress commissioned a study on marijuana and drug abuse, and the Assistant Secretary of Health recommended that it be temporarily placed on Schedule 1 narcotics list pending the Commission's report, where it remains today, sort of like the federal income tax. The report was presented to Congress finally in 1974 after extensive study, and the committee recommended ending prohibition The report acknowledged that prior decades, and we've all heard a lot of this, lurid accounts of users being physically aggressive, irresponsible, mentally ill, and perhaps most alarming, criminally inclined and dangerous. They found all that to be completely unfounded. The Commission also found that the drug actually inhibited aggression by pacifying the user and generally produced states of drowsiness and passivity, and that would explain why violent crime has dropped significantly since decriminalization in Colorado. Murders, for one, are down about half. I've seen one report a little under half and one report a little over half. Several other crimes are down double-digit percentages. The Commission concluded there is little proven danger of physical or psychological harm from the use of cannabis. You guys know Mike Pitts, I'm sure. He used to be a policeman in the city of Greenville. He said that he had never had to chase a pothead, never had to fight one, and said they just don't cause any problems. Now, if they're under the influence of alcohol and prescription pain pills and such as that, then, you know, I'm sure that's a lot different. After the study came out and mentioned all this, Nixon and Congress decided that they knew better and they were going to keep it banned anyway. And again, probably some politics involved in there somewhere. Since that time in '74, a lot of myths and government stated facts have been refuted and been found to be fabricated. More about Colorado, I'm sure you want to hear about this. Colorado took in $60 million in marijuana sales and licensing fees in the last year. Plus they saved most, if not all, the $145 million that a Harvard study estimated it spent each year fighting marijuana. That's nearly 200 or just over $200 million. Commercial property vacancies are so low that landlords have increased their rates. Colorado, unsurprisingly, has seen tourism increase dramatically, and while they had an 8% unemployment rate in 2012, it now sits at 4%, 4.1, just over half, and continues to drop. This in spite of all the people moving to Colorado to work in the industry or just to use it without fear of being arrested. At the time, I was researching this a few months ago, so there were 750 retail and medical stores now with nearly 19,000 licenses issued to workers in 9 months' time. And that doesn't include ancillary jobs created in support of the industry. I'm an electrical contractor, so, you know, there will be more construction going on there as all the vacant suitable properties are taken up. Medical benefits. Cures cancer, stops it from metastasizing, spreading. Reduces or, in many cases, eliminates epileptic seizures. I met one guy down there that had a brain tumor. He's in his 40s. And it's called glioma, something like that. It's a rapid growing brain cancer that often can't be cured. And you can see he's had surgery. It's all healed up, and he's using it to live in the Caribbean. Maybe it's legal down there. But anyway, he's using it, and he seems to be fine now. It relieves pain and nausea. They say it works real good with people who are taking radiation and chemotherapy, keeps them from being nauseated, helps their appetite come back. It stops Alzheimer's in some cases, or at least slows it down. Helps with diabetes and lupus, glaucoma, has even cured patients with Crohn's disease, and it helps keep people thin. It soothes tremors in Parkinson's patients, protects the brain from strokes and sports injury, concussions, and stuff like that. Research has actually found that it makes the brain produce more brain cells, thus potentially making users smarter, which I thought might be odd. But then I ran across a study that revealed a group of teens that were followed from their teens and into their 20s. The study revealed they had an IQ increase of about 5 points in moderate users. Heavy users, it declined a little bit, but once they stopped using it, it came back. Other important data from Colorado, teen use since legalization is down 10%. The rest of the country is up about the same amount. Here's something I'm sure you're interested in knowing about. Where these people in this room stand? A Gallup poll in '03 found that 34% favored full legalization that went to 58% in 2013. A Pew poll found 76% say people should not be jailed for possession of it, and found that half of Americans had used it in their lifetime. Another Pew poll from last year said that 69% of Republicans and 79% of Democrats favored ending the war on drugs, preferring instead treatment instead of jail time, even for users of heroin and cocaine. A lot of negative comments I hear is, well, what about people? We don't need stone drivers on the road. Well, a study in the report you have said that several thousand accidents they studied, they found that drunk drivers were the #1 cause of accidents. That's totally believable. Based on the data, it suggested that sober drivers were more likely to cause an accident than marijuana users. The NTSB, you know who that is, just released a report in February confirming that drivers using cannabis were much less likely to be in an accident than drunk drivers. So what about the other thing I hear about? What about some people say, well, we don't, I'm all for medical, but not for legalization for recreational use. Well, what's bad about that? For one, it don't make people crazy or violent. It actually has just the opposite effect, as a congressional study pointed out. It makes people happy, puts them in a good mood, it makes them appreciate people around them, makes people hungry and eventually want to go to bed. So what on earth would be wrong with that? Finally, financial considerations, and going forward, what is the goal of it being illegal in the first place? Keeping it out of the hands of young people. Legalization in Colorado has reduced that, or keeping it out of people's hands in general. If it's not achieving its goals, and it's costing Spartanburg County and South Carolina a lot of money, at the same time being illegal, it prevents Spartanburg and South Carolina from collecting millions in revenue, fees, building permits, inhibits job creation. Why is it still illegal? A little more food for thought here. I interviewed a few people who said they'd recently used it to find out, well, what do they spend on it? The average was $5,500 a year. That's like, one guy I think said 80 a week, one guy said 100, maybe one was 150. Data I found said that 13.7% of Americans use it, 13% in Colorado. Our population of 4.83 million people, that's about 662,000 people, more than, about twice the number of people that voted in our primary. If you rule out the kids and the elderly, then it's a lot higher percentage than 13%. Multiply that by $5,500, and that's about $2 billion that people in this state spend on it. And a lot of that's going out of state, and there's 0 jobs being created. And that's with it being illegal. I used it in high school, I'm not ashamed to say, like I said, it says 50% of Americans have. Some of you may have, I don't know, none of my business. I quit, I joined the Navy, got my education. I'm now an electrical contractor here in town. My first wife was a heavy user. She went on and got her degree. She's a subject matter expert now for a NASA aerospace contractor. She makes a dang good living. She makes more than I do. She makes well over $100,000 a year. My daughter's a registered nurse. She makes a good living. She and my grandchildren are all real smart. None of us have ever been arrested for other than a traffic ticket. We've never been on government assistance. Again, I just want you to be objective, look at the data, particularly from Colorado and the polls, and make a decision accordingly. The people favor it. It's healthy for you. The congressional study again determined it to not be dangerous and recommended it not be illegal, and it will bring in a ton of money. I think the projection, and one thing I was looking at was about $70 million just in sales revenue from it, not including the permits and licensing and taxes and stuff, other things. and it'll create a lot of jobs in this state. And then maybe we can raise some money, pave some roads, and not have to raise taxes.